Welcome to Kathryn Raaker's World. Innovation, culture, adventure, fashion and health, artists, destinations, traditions. This is Kathryn Raaker's World.
Hi, this is Kathryn Raaker of Kathryn Raaker's World, and let's just talk. Our guest is our political expert, and he is Michael Letts, the president and founder of InvestUSA.org. And today, Michael, what are we going to be talking about subject-wise?
Well, there's an awful lot to be talking about, Kathryn. We'll hit some of the highlights that are the most valid stories in the news media today. Obviously, as we're speaking at this very moment, the criminal trial for Donald Trump is underway on the charge that he used campaign money for hush money. And here is the problem. It's in New York right now. Here is the quick problem so your viewers understand, so they can be educated about what's going on. Is it illegal to use campaign contributions for hush money? Yes. So here's the issue. It is a federal election, okay? So the first agency that has jurisdiction over that matter is the Federal Election Commission. They reviewed the allegation that he had used federal campaign funds to pay hush money to Stormy Daniels. Could find no evidence and no substantiation, so they declined to prosecute and to move forward on the allegation. But to cover themselves, they turned it over to the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York and said, look, we want to make sure that we have looked at everything. We don't see any grounds. You're the U.S. Attorney prosecuting. You look at it. His office looked at it, came back and said, no, we find no basis, no allegations. So we are not going to prosecute. This is on the federal level. Now, remember, that's all it is. It's a federal issue. It's not a state issue.
Right.
But because there was so much controversy, they sent it over to the state prosecutor, which would have been Alvin Bragg's predecessor, who had the prosecution, who was the prosecutor before Alvin Bragg's. He reviewed it. Of course, they had no jurisdiction, but he reviewed it out of courtesy. No, can find no evidence of any substantiation case. We will not accept it. We're not going to prosecute. So that was the end of it. He sat there for years. Alvin Braggs, the prosecutor before Alvin, decided, I've had enough of this. I'm not going to run for re-election. Alvin Braggs ran for and was elected. Part of his platform, you recall, was, I will find something and we will get Donald J. Trump. So he pulls this case back up after it's already been dismissed by the Election Commission, the U.S. Attorney, and his former predecessor, the county prosecutor, pulls it up and says, oh, I think I found something. I think we can show that he did use that money, even though he has no jurisdiction over it. And when he used it, he didn't report it correctly to the state of New York from his business filings. He used that money, and instead of reporting it in his business disclosure, his income taxes and all, he didn't report it the right way. We're going to go after that. That's where they're at now. Every prosecutor in the United States will tell you this is the most feeble, weak case they've ever seen. He has no jurisdiction to begin with. Bragg has no jurisdiction. It's a federal matter. They refuse to investigate and to proceed, but he's determined to try to find something anyway. That is where they're at. Why do they want to do this, Kathryn?
They want to put him in jail.
Exactly. But you see, they know that in this particular area, 95% of the population voted for Biden. So they're confident they can get people on a jury who will convict him of anything. They don't care whether it's true or not. Their point is, if they can get him convicted, then they want to press the issue. Can we not get him in jail? If we can get him in jail, then we can go back to the American people. You can't vote for a jailbird. So, of course, what they don't understand is the American people have already made it very clear. They know it is nothing but a political hoax. Makes no difference to them. If you put him in jail, they're going to vote for him anyway. But you know the Democrats, they're hard-headed. They don't believe. They want to do everything they can to damage the package to see if they can't keep it from getting elected.
Well,
So that's why,
something just came up about Biden that he used money from the DNC, right? And that
he
was
did.
campaign bucks, and he used it for something you're not supposed to use it for. So if it's, it's like, is it good for the goose or good, you know what I mean? That
Well,
situation.
the
And
case you're referring to
they're
is he
digging up
used,
all kinds of stuff on
yeah,
Biden.
the
Okay.
case you're referring to is that you remember Biden has his own issues about, classified documents, et cetera, and he used campaign funds. And that issue hasn't even been gone to court or trial yet. I mean, even been an indictment on that yet. They're trying to cover and protect Biden, but he's been paying attorneys to keep that issue quiet with campaign funds. So you're right, Catherine. We have a two-tier justice system. If a Democrat wants to do it, let's just not talk about it. Everything's fine. Republican or conservative does it, oh, then we're going to have a big issue, make a big to do. Problem is, a Republican didn't do it. A conservative didn't do it. He has absolute position of deniability. He never did it. You've got one person, Michael Cohen, who is a convicted felon for fraud, who is saying, "Well, I was his attorney and I know what he did and didn't do." Interesting, Catherine. Let me throw this out there for your listeners to ponder and your viewers to understand. Michael Avenatti, you remember that was Stormy Daniels' attorney, okay? That represented her. He is now in jail as well because you remember he not only did he steal Stormy Daniels' money, but he stole millions from other clients, okay? So he's in pretty deep hot water for fraud. But he just came out 2 days ago from his jail cell and said he would be happy to testify on behalf of the president, which is odd because he is so much against the president. And his position seems to allude to the fact that you might want to look a little closer, that perhaps it was Mr. Cohn that was having the issue with Stormy Daniels and using Trump's money to keep it quiet. So it will be a very interesting. This case just seems to be falling apart faster than they can try to put it back together again. But they're using it, as you know, every way they can to go after Trump, knowing that they may not get a conviction now in the case. What are they trying to do? They're trying to violate his First Amendment rights and saying, well, you can't talk about it. You can't say anything. You can't respond when people call you a bad name. You just have to sit there and take it. And they're issuing gag orders. And of course, we all know that President Trump sometimes has a challenge in not responding or using his vocal cords. So to this date, they have not put him in jail, but they're threatening even today. Now I understand this afternoon they're talking about, well, we might give you another chance, but we're going to fine you some more. We're going to give you some more fines and see where it goes from there. We'll see. It's anybody's guess, Catherine. But the bottom line is they will do whatever is necessary to try to keep Trump from being elected in November.
That's for sure. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, right now that are the American people are starting to finally figure out that, Biden isn't as clean as he talks about. His
Correct.
daughter's thing came out. There's things coming out daily about his character and whatever. I do not think he is going to be on the ballot. They're actually what they're doing right now in a lot of different states is they're saying, don't vote for him. Don't vote at all.
Right.
And so that's what a lot of them are doing. And, I really believe on the abortion situation in Florida that he's not going to win on that because
No.
it's just, this is old news. And you got an old man that can hardly walk.
Well, since we're talking about Trump at this particular moment, the
Not
other thing
Trump,
we need to put
Biden.
out there,
We're talking about Biden.
Biden, but we're talking about Trump's
Yeah,
issues.
right,
You mentioned.
right.
So we're talking about Trump. Let's talk about real quickly where we're at, so the American public understand the entire issue that we're talking
Situation.
about. So you've got 4 cases. You've got the one we're talking about now in New York about did he criminally use campaign funds to keep Stormy Daniels quiet? That's falling apart faster than we can realize. The other 3 cases are very interesting because the Supreme Court has now stepped in and said that they are hearing arguments today, as we speak, about the presidential immunity clause. Why is that so important? Because here's what happens when a president serves in the office of the presidency and makes decisions about whether to bomb a country, retaliation, send a special forces in to rescue a hostage, etc. And there are consequences of every decision that's made. People die. That's just part of how it works. Presidential immunity says that while you're the president, any decision you make that is on the behalf of the country, you cannot be prosecuted for. Okay. If you took that away, you would no longer have a president, you would have a king, as they do in England. You say, why is that comparison important? You know, the King of England doesn't have any authority. He
That's true.
walks around. I mean, he's ceremonial. He, does his little blessings here, that, there, but he has absolutely zero power. That is what would happen to this country to remove presidential immunity. Why? Because a president would be scared to do anything because they know that the opposition party would take you to court the minute you left the office of the presidency for anything you may have done that they didn't like. They would be suing you, trying to pursue criminal charges against you the minute you left office. So they wouldn't want to accomplish anything. Why be president if you know that after 4 years, you're going to be nothing but be in court for the rest of your life about decisions you made that you thought were in the best interest of the country? So
Mhm.
that's why it's so critical. The Supreme Court recognizes that. They're hearing those arguments now. If they agree, which I believe that they will, quite frankly, I believe they will very strongly agree that the president has immunity on the other three remaining cases against Trump. Let's take it very quickly. The Georgia election case, when he stood up in Georgia and everywhere else across the country and says, I have evidence that I believe the election was tainted and fraudulent. We need to reinvestigate and not determine just worried about did I get 5 or 10 votes? Were the votes cast legal? He was speaking on behalf of the country because if we don't have elections that have integrity, we don't have anything. So his action would be covered under presidential immunity. Into that case, of course, we know that case is not going with Fannie Willis anywhere. It's going to fall apart on its own, but it falls apart immediately under presidential immunity. The second case about the documents, in Mar-a-Lago, under the Presidential Record Act, he would have been acting in the authority of the presidency, which he was anyway. And because of presidential immunity, end of it. It would be immediately dismissed, done with. The third case, we would be talking about Jack Smith. Do you remember the insurgency, January 6th? He's guilty of creating an insurgency. Well, once again, of course, we know it's not true because if you listen to the speeches, he tells everybody be peaceful. Don't, be violent when you go up to the Capitol to observe how Congress works. I mean, my goodness, Catherine, that's the way you're supposed to be as a president. You're supposed to want the people to know how the business of the people is being conducted. But that having been said, once again, he was speaking on behalf of the country. I don't think that this election was done correctly. You need to go watch what Congress does. Speaking on behalf of the country, again, the Presidential Immunity Act would immediately take place, and that case would be gone. So all the cases would be over with in a matter of minutes when the Supreme Court decides that presidential immunity is a valid position. And quite frankly, I don't see how they can do otherwise because there are tremendous consequences that will occur in this country if you remove presidential immunity from the office of the presidency. You don't have a president anymore, you've got a king.
We have run out of time today.
Well, at least we got some good things in, Catherine. I think
I think we did. And I think that they just came out with a report that you probably know about that Biden and the rest of them actually put that whole thing up as far as it was concerned. It just came out. Then they have documentation, on it from the lawyer that tried to hide it from the other side. And so that's coming up too. So I think a lot of these cases, like you said, will disappear and that, Trump is going to succeed. And I think everyone, all of us, need to let our congressmen and senators know that. What do you think?
I agree. And let's make one other thing as we close this interview.
Yes.
Let's make sure that we keep our president in prayer. And why is that? Because
Right.
when all else fails, their only objective is to find some way of eliminating the president. And that's the last thing this country needs. And we need to make sure that we let them know we're watching. We want to make sure this president succeeds. And the fact that Donald J. Trump can guide us to greatness once again, as he's done before. God bless you, Catherine. God bless America. Have a great day.
And don't forget to give your website out, please.
www.investUSA.org or restoringjustice.us. They can keep track of both things, and we appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Kathy.
And don't forget to go to our website at KathrynRaakersWorld.com and letsjusttalk.com. And don't forget the Chef You and I to get healthy. We'll see you soon. Have a wonderful day. And thank you so much for what you do. And thank you for your mission. And thank you for your service. Hi, this is Kathryn Raaker of Kathryn Raaker's World, our syndicated TV show. And Let's Just Talk, our syndicated radio show. I'm so honored. So I want to introduce Ayano Hattori, who is a wonderful, brilliant woman who is working with a company called Magnum. And she is a member of the Global Business Network. And she's going to tell us a little bit about her company and what they do with Magnum. And so I want to welcome you to my show. Konnichiwa. I'm Kathryn Raaker.
Konnichiwa.
So anyhow, I want to know how you got involved with Magna. Can you tell me about your company?
Yes, so hello, Kathleen. Thank you very much for that time. It's very nice to meeting you.
Very nice.
So nice to meet you. So let me first introduce myself and our company. My name is Ayano Hattori, and I work for the Japanese company, JMA Management Center. We have three main businesses. One is publishing, second, human resource development, and third is providing planners. So today I would like to talk about manga and Manga for Success, which we have started selling in the United States as a publishing business.
Now that's wonderful. And you have self-help books for business, am I correct?
Yes, yes.
And what do those books do to help people like myself that have my own company, or I may be a bigger company, a corporation, but I've never, ever dealt with, not me, but with international companies, and I want to do more business with them. Is this what Magna teaches? They teach that. And also, how did you get into the US market? By going to trade shows? What?
Oh, yeah. So into United States market, we exhibited the big book fair like Frankfurt Book Fair and other book fairs. Book fairs, yeah.
Book fairs, right? So have you been to the US?
Yes, I have a lot.
A lot? So
A lot.
Yeah, so you've been to the bookstores, right?
Oh, yes. Like Burns and Noble. Yeah, it was great.
My book is in Barnes and Nobles as well.
Great,
So,
great.
yeah, right. So it's probably on Amazon as well. Okay, so you're there very well out there. So how long has Magna been here in the US with their publishing?
Okay, so Manga for Success series in the United States, it's almost 1 year at this April, yeah.
Right, that's great. And so you are having a lot of success? That's great. So tell me, what are your plans for more volumes in Magna for Success Stories? And there's a series, right? So is
Yes.
Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, Book 4? Is that what it's like?
Okay. So we really like to expand the series very much, and we've already introduced 6 titles, but we have more than 80 titles, and we'd like to further expand the series in the United States market.
That's great. So are you working with people in the United States to get your message across?
Yes.
Okay. And if somebody wants to work with Magna, is there a possibility that they can?
Yes, of course.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so So as I said, we really want to expand our manga series, and we have more than 80 titles, but some of these are unique to Japan, so we cannot bring everything to the United States. But we hope to develop English version of books that already on the market, as well as new ones that meet the needs of American readers. And so we believe we can apply not only to books, but also to manuals, guidebooks, corporate philosophy, and so on. And we think this way because we are training provider, not just a publisher.
Now, let me ask you a question. When you come to the United States, do you go to universities or do you go to businesses to work with businesses? Tell me what you do. And there's a lot of technology as well. And
Yeah. So for me, I always go to United States by business trip. I have a lot of conference, and also I have planned to go to the New York for the US book show this May. So
oh, wow, that's great.
yeah.
We have a very international city where I live in
Oh,
Cincinnati, Ohio. We have a big, big international program for,
okay.
so we'd love to have you come.
Yeah, I'd like to go
I
to
would
and
love
see
to
you.
because it's a wonderful city. And the thing is that we have such an international foot out there
Mm-hmm.
with what we do. And Toyota used to have a big plant over in
Yeah,
there in
yeah.
Kentucky. And so I learned a lot from him, the vice president, about culture and customs and a little bit about language. And I think it's, so nice when you work overseas
Mm-hmm.
that you present yourself in such a way that instead of a lot of Americans want to jump into the situation, and that becomes uncomfortable, right? For some people.
Oh,
True.
yeah.
So learning that part of it, and the other thing I learned was when I go overseas, I take my business card and go like this,
Mm-hmm.
hand it to them, because
Yeah.
that's just a part of custom. Isn't that true? So
Yes,
that's
yes.
basic business practices. Would you say that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So the first time you came to the US, were you shocked?
For me, I used to live in Chicago when I was super kid, so with my family, so
You felt
that
comfortable
was not.
already, right?
Yeah. I really love United States from when I was lived there, so
That makes it better. It makes it easier. It would be like me going to Japan. I'll never forget going to Asia. Everybody just
Oh,
kind of welcomed me because I wanted to learn the language. And,
right.
and that has a lot to do with it. So did you have a lot of help in that, or you already knew English, right? When you came?
Um, so I am developing my English skills, so
You're doing
but
fine.
oh, thank you.
So, I was just very lucky to live overseas and
Yeah,
to work overseas, and it makes a
yeah.
difference.
Mm.
So, will Magna for Success be developed? And we talked
Mm-hmm.
about this for a minute, for specific business industries, such as technology, say, for instance, AI, all the new
Mm-hmm.
things that are out there, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
can you expand? Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, so the field of business manga we launch in Japan are so diverse, and many of them are related to business and management, but some of them cover a wide range of topics such as production management, quality management, and logistics, and financial accounting, statistic, and even parenting. So,
That's great.
mhm,
So it's so wonderful. Is Magna now for success
mhm.
popular in other countries?
Yes. So, uh, So as I said, the 6 titles are already sold in the United States, but that 6 English language editions of Manga for Success series are now available in United Kingdom and Canada, will be translated into about 10 languages for worldwide distribution.
Wow, that's wonderful that you're able to do that, and
Yeah.
it makes it easier for people. Do you also have it in an audio format as well as a written format?
So manga features for the visual explanation, so we don't have audio yet, but
Or video?
maybe
Or
a
video?
video. Yeah, we can. So we are planning to try to create video from manga, but for now we don't have yet.
Well, let me know if you want an instructor for video. I will be more
Yeah.
glad to do that for you,
Great.
since I do it all the time anyhow. But you know, the most important thing I think is that you have something that's successful already in Japan,
Mhm.
and that you
Mhm.
brought it to the US to really help people, to teach them business language, business technical things, and also how to, like I said, welcome people when they
Oh
first
yeah.
business and don't jump into it,
Yes.
right? Make you feel comfortable. And I know you probably know this also, that a lot of times when you visit with a foreign in a foreign country or with a foreign business, they want to know a bit about you and your family. So they always ask,
Yeah.
which
Mhm.
made me feel very comfortable. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So what are your next plans for Magna? And you want to go into Canada and you're going into Britain. Will you go into South America and other countries in the future or not?
Yes. Maybe, yeah, South America, definitely, yes. And yeah, so we already sold 6 titles into more than 10 languages, but so our next plan is sell more than 7 titles and create that English version and other language version is the next step for us.
So what would be the typical person that would purchase your books?
To
Companies?
purchase our Japanese.
Yes, companies and individuals.
Yeah. Yes, publisher or companies, training, development,
Right.
training and development, yeah, or
Especially
human
companies,
resource.
and especially companies that are maybe partnering with Japanese
Yeah,
companies.
yes, or the university.
Oh, that's great. So
Yeah.
I can't tell you, it's been such a pleasure to
Mhm.
talk to you today and to learn more about
Thank
Magna.
you.
You did such a beautiful job. Thank you so much. I want
Right.
to wish you all the luck in the world in getting this
Thank
out there to so many countries that, you know, the Japanese have a most wonderful culture and customs and
Oh,
business acumen. And I really appreciate you coming on my show today. And we
thank
will get
you.
this far and wide all over my network. Okay, network.
Great.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very
So
much.
I want to thank you so much again, arigato, and have a beautiful evening, because it's night in Japan, correct?
Yes, it's
Thank you.
midnight in Japan. Thank you
Thank you
very much.
so much.